Hello all, my name is Piotr and I build Drew guitars. Right, so it's time to work on the body, and guess what I have? Indeed, it's a heat gun with adjustable temperature, which is perfect because I know from experience it's really easy to melt this plastic with a heat gun. So I need to heat it up just enough to be flexible, but not enough to melt. So that's the old trick with binding a guitar. So I'll start with taping the binding onto the body on this side, I think. Just a bit, so it stays in place, and I will start with forming the binding to fit the body nicely. I think this upper section is easier than the lower section because of, well, this flat surface here and the horn, which is very tight here. So yeah, I will start with the upper section first, and it will be easier to switch to the other side then. But I have to tape it up here just so the binding stays in place when I work on it on this side. What I want to avoid is the binding sliding off or twisting on me when I try to apply acetone with a brush. And I need to try doing this on this scrap wood first before I do it to the body. Let's tape it up first, and then I'll do the final test. So I want to leave just enough binding on this side to cover the entire upper section with not much overhang, if I can help it. And I will tape it up temporarily because this side is coming off first. This is perfect. This is just enough to do that. And some tape here. And a couple places on this side as well. So the way I'm going to approach that is I will be shaping the binding while gluing it. I don't want to pre-shape the entire body with this horn and this section here, because while gluing it on, it may shift. So my initial assessment of the position of the binding may be off, and having this horn bend, for example, and then while gluing finding that this is actually not fitting and I have to reshape this whole thing would be suboptimal. So I want to avoid errors like this, so I'm not going to pre-shape it quite yet. Okay, so I've got binding taped in 4 places on this side. So if I take this off, this is staying in the binding channel quite straight. It doesn't want to just slide off. So this is what I'm looking for. And I have enough space here to brush the acetone in and tape it up straight away. I'm going to use a lot of tape for this, so I will prepare sections of it here, so I can just grab it and stick it on without needing 3 hands. There are companies that do masking tape dispensers for taping up fretboards with different thicknesses and for binding, and they are great. I need to get one of those at some point. Okay, I think that'll do for now. What I want to try though first is gluing that on with acetone and the brush. So let's grab some tape. Okay, I scraped off the old glue, but I'm going to use the other side, the clean side of the binding. I'm going to scrape that off as well. Yep, that should do it. Let's see if that even works. Okay. Can't see where the acetone is in the bottle. Not perfect. Okay, let's leave it for a couple minutes. And see how much of the binding actually adheres to the wood. I'm really hoping that this method is actually the one. You may be able to see that here, but because this is just a straight piece of binding and it's forced into the groove, it's not sitting straight, it's twisted like that, and that creates a gap inside. And the bottom of the binding is not sitting all the way in. This is not perfect, and this is what I want to avoid. And that's why I taped this binding on temporarily on this side, so that it does not fall on that end and does not want to twist, but remains straight on the binding channel. See if it works. Okay, let's take this off and see. I know it's not been on long enough, but I just want to see if it melts the binding on the entire surface of it, not just in places. I'm expecting it to come off easily. Oh, okay. Right, so it's not good, is it? Although it's all wet, so I think if it was pressed, oh yeah, it is flexible. That is very good. It's all melted. Okay, so I suppose if it was pressed into the channel with the masking tape and left alone for 24 hours, I believe that will work. Okay, let's see how that goes then. I'm going to start here. I think this is safe. Also need to open the garage doors because this is poison. I don't want to breathe that in. I will attach some tape to the bottom. So that I can just reach and tape it up straight away without thinking about it. Is there enough tape? Yeah, should be enough. Okay, let's start. I will be generous with the acetone. So, because the acetone is melting the glue in the masking tape, I'm starting the taping from under the body so that if it wicks into the masking tape between the body and the masking tape on this side, it still holds on the underneath, hopefully. Yeah, that's not the best, is it? Nope, this is just annoying. Not helpful at all. Okay, now is the time where I need to shape the binding a bit. And I'm going to heat up this section so that it melts just a tiny bit, becomes flexible, and I can just push it in. I've got it set to very low heat. It really is very low heat. I would rather sneak up on the moment where it becomes flexible than burn it in one place. This is not a huge corner, not very tight, but I want to avoid forcing it down with the masking tape. like the convex section that I just did is easy because it just sits on it, and when you pull on the binding it stays tight. In concave sections it's very easy to not push it all the way in. So I want to shape the binding first instead of forcing it down with the masking tape. Okay, and they add some heat. Oh, okay, yeah. That's just a moment between not yet and yeah, flexible. Need to be careful not to overdo it in one place. Right. This should be enough. This should be perfect. So now when I let go, the binding naturally goes back into the curve. I don't have to force it with the masking tape, as I mentioned. This is a convex section, but it's quite tight, so I'm going to heat it up. Just a tiny bit less heat than before. Okay, so this should do. I'm going to tape it up temporarily because I want to work on this bend here, and this is going to take quite a bit of heating up. I don't want to melt it, so I can't go too quick. Yeah. Suddenly becomes very flexible, and then it's easy to overdo it. It's almost perfect. Okay, this is perfect. I overbent it a bit, but this is fine. I will tape it in place somehow. It's not melted anywhere, which is fantastic, and it's fitting nicely. So I need to carry on with this section here. going to be adding some more tape in between those sections, I think, but that's what I'll do for now. I thought you may want to be looking at it from this perspective, which means that I may be bumping into the camera every now and then. I apologize. We'll see what happens. Need some more poison. Okay, so this is the flat section where the jack lives, and I think I can do this up to here roughly, then stop and then heat up the binding. Okay, let's try that. Very generously, so that there are no dry spots. I'm starting taping from underneath to give the tape a good anchor point, and then I'm trying to leave a lot on top to make sure that it stays on. So I'm stretching the tape while pulling it up over the side, so that when it sticks to the binding it pulls it down and in, and then I'm stretching it over the top to force it into the binding channel. And the last one here. Okay. Now I need to bend the binding. Let me just tape it up so it doesn't move. Right. Okay, so one side here is done. Now the other side. It's very hot. It's very hot to hold, to touch the binding as well, but I don't want to use any garden gloves or anything like that. I need to be able to actually feel what's going on. Okay, I'm happy with the shape. Let's stick it on with acetone. Okay, and bending again. Again, not a big curve here, not the tight one, but it needs to be shaped, otherwise I'm risking creating gaps. Okay, yeah, it's all taped up. I'm happy with the amount of acetone that went in between the binding and the body. I hope it's gonna work. It's magic and melt nicely into the body. I guess we can see tomorrow. Or should I give it 48 hours maybe? Another big step done now. Very pleased with the process. The brush method, well, from what I can tell so far, works very nicely. I hope there won't be any issues. This is a must-have for this process, unfortunately, especially that this is a very thick binding. It's only 0.1 millimeter thicker than this original one, but it's also taller, which is just much more material to bend, and it likes to break not very nicely, it just stretches and it doesn't look good. So yeah, this is done. Now I'll leave it here because never-ending fretboard saga. I left it for quite a while now, and I came with a scraper to see if I can flatten it out, and this doesn't look good, unfortunately. It behaves like melted plastic, which means that I either messed up the proportions when mixing it, the latest layer, or I don't know what I've done, but I'm gonna strip it and sand it down to the previous level. I want to try something something different. I want to try and melt this epoxy with acetone. I'm not sure if it's going to do anything, but if it will, I can melt the top layer and it will cover all the bubbles. and then I can, when it's evaporated, I can sand it down again. Hopefully it will be flat. I really want to use this fretboard because those block inlays will look really good. Plus I've invested lots of time in it already, so it would be a waste. But yeah, as I said, if it's not going to be perfect in the end, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to redo the fretboard in ebony, and I think I'm going to buy fret slotting jig. It's a mitre box with bearings that guide the fretting saw. Very straight, very precise, so that it takes less time to actually prepare the fretboard, because marking it by hand and then trying to do it straight, although you can do it very precise and all, it just takes a lot of time. So that mitre box will cut the time in half, I believe. So yeah, I will be working on the fretboard in the background. I'm not going to make you watch that. You've seen enough of this fretboard already. It's not that interesting. But yeah, I'll keep you posted. And yes, I hope you enjoyed the binding, and stick around and I'll see you next week. Cheers. Love you, bye.